Getting started with large format film photography can be intimidating and not to mention very expensive. In this video, I'm going to simplify some things by giving you 3 lens options, 2 of which are priced well under $200, and 1 camera. The camera is more of a suggestion and not necessarily a definitive option. I want you to pay more attention to the style of large format camera than the actual brand and model of the camera. This video isn't sponsored in any way. Everything that I share is based on my own personal experience, and all of the lenses and the camera I own personally. With all that being said, let's start by taking a look at the camera. I'm completely biased when it comes to this choice. I have owned 5 large format 4x5 cameras in the past, and this one is top of the list. The Cambo SC is hands down my favorite camera. It was my first large format camera, and it was the reason I got hooked on large format photography. I picked up mine for a really low price. It was in pretty poor condition for, I believe it was $79. Now, the Cambo SC is a monorail camera design. Its main front and rear standards sit on this rail, which get the idea why it's called a monorail. It tends to be bulky. It might not be everyone's first pick. It's usually the studio camera that people would go for. A monorail camera is perfect for studio work. What it lacks in compactness, it makes up in versatility and options that are available for it out there. Again, it's typically considered a studio camera, and I've never had any issue with taking it with me to use for portrait photography or landscape photography or even like macro photography. Speaking of macro photography, if you're interested in a video where I walk you through setting this camera up for use in studio work or even out in the field with macro photography in mind, leave a comment below. Macro photography is one of my other passions. I enjoy using the camera for that specifically, so I'm more than willing to talk about it, but I need to see if there's any interest before I make a video on it. One of the things I truly appreciate about this camera is its incredible versatility for the price point. Again, I picked mine up for $79. There's a complete one currently on eBay for about $200, and there's one including the box for about $250. It's significantly more priced than what I paid, but I picked this thing back up in 2021, so it's been a good 4 years since I received the camera. The camera also features a built-in Graflock back, which is real handy, especially if you don't want to constantly use the camera for 4x5 film. You can get film backs for it in 6x7, 6x9, 6x12, and even 6x17. There's a number of different accessories available out there, including recessed lens boards. I personally have 3D printed my own. I have a few 3D printed designs. I'll link that in the description below. If you have a 3D printer, you can take my designs for free and use them to print them out yourself. Copal 1, 0, and 3, as well as recessed lens boards for the above, are available to download for free. Are you the kind of person who is interested in large format instant photography like Instax wide? Well, this camera has that Graflock, so you can purchase the Lomo Graflock back for 4x5. Fits perfectly on there and allows you to get to shooting Instax wide like everybody else. Honestly, I think monorail cameras like the Cambo SC are something that you should have regardless if you're a beginner or an expert. You're not going to get the same movements out of a field camera, but you will get similar movements out of a field camera. But the prices are going to be completely different. A brand new Intrepid, I believe, is well over $550 now, and with the tariffs, that might be even higher. I haven't kept up with the prices. Shinhao and other manufacturers out there will probably also be well over $1,200, if not more. At the end of the day, owning a monorail camera within your kit is something you're going to want eventually. And starting off with it makes it so you can get to shooting 4x5 large format quickly. Cameras like the Cambo SC actually have accessories for you to increase the height and stack the rails. So if you're going to do some super macro work, you can actually attach longer rails and multiple standards to extend out your bellows. If you have an old brass lens, say 300-400 millimeter in focal length, you can make this camera work for that quite easily. A field camera isn't going to give you that same versatility. The camera truly is really flexible in whatever you want to do. As far as lenses are concerned, there's one term I want you to be familiar with: full frame equivalent. Simply put, when I say full frame equivalent, it'll give you an idea of what the camera lens is going to show you. And the way you can compare that is to think of a 35 millimeter full frame camera. So a normal lens, being the 50 millimeters on full frame, would be about 163 millimeters on 4x5. It's not to say that there's an exact direct correlation to it. It's more of generic terms. 4x5 is also a 4x5 ratio, whereas 35 millimeter is a 2:3 ratio. So it's a little bit different from what you would normally, think about. You can crop in, change it, so it's more generic terms and not necessarily the correct way of identifying it. So when I say this Fujinon W 180 millimeter is similar to a 55 millimeter full frame equivalent on 4x5, that's basically all I'm saying. It's similar to that look. It's not exactly that look. Speaking of which, all of the lenses I'm going to be talking about today are Fujinons. Two of them are the older Fujinon design, the inside lettering design, compared to the one that I got with this camera has the outside lettering design, but still Fujinon. The Fujinon 180mm f5.6, the Fujinon 210mm outside lettering f5.6, and the Fujinon 250mm f5.6. All three of these lenses are in Copal 1 shutters, so that means that you have a shutter speed starting from 1 second all the way to 1/400th of a second. They all have a max aperture of f5.6 and a minimum aperture of f64. A bit of a bonus feature with the older Fujinons, specifically these two, these will actually cover 5x7 and 8x10. This one you have to stop down to about f32 or higher to get it to cover 8x10, but it will do so. This also goes for between $120 to about $180, so it's really not that expensive to get started. The 210mm I've seen for less than $100. I picked mine up for $89 with the lens board for this Cambo SC. And the most expensive lens is the Fujinon 250mm. I see these go for about $220 up to about $300 to $350. That's no small pennies, but if you're future-proofing your set, if you intend to go to 8x10 in the future, you could start with the 250mm and you would be good to go for both formats. Likewise, if you get the inside lettering version of the 210mm, that will cover 8x10 as well. So as far as how these lenses feel as that full frame equivalent, the 180mm is close to a 55mm on full frame. The 210 is about a 60 to 63-ish area, and the 250 is about a 75. I know these numbers don't have actual real-world direct correlation, so I can't just name a lens for you to think of them as, but if you've ever used a zoom lens, you can kind of feel where I'm going with it. Being able to get into large format is really all I want for this video. If you've been on the fence, this will give you enough options to kind of tinker with. If you can't afford a Cambo SC, which can be a bit pricey, $250 to $350 onwards up, depending on how complete the original kit is, it can get pricey. But companies like Cinar, Toyo, Graflock, or Graflex, and a few others, Calumet, there's enough companies out there with monorail cameras in the $100 to $200 range that you can start using large format in your photography kit today with very little upfront cost. The 210 being $134 plus $150 large format camera, you can be on the road taking photos for less than $300. In a future video, preferably the next video that I put out, I'm going to be showing how you can save a little bit of money by using other film stocks that aren't Portra or HP5 or even T-Max. There are plenty of ways to learn how to use these cameras without spending $10, $15 per frame. So if you're interested in that, get subscribed and share this with somebody who is also interested in large format so we can try to get more people into large format. My goal with this video is to really just help out somebody who's on the fence on should I, shouldn't I. It's not that expensive and you can get into it if you choose the right gear.